Welcome to the Jedi Ranger. I'm JohnBerry555, and this is my review of the last 3 episodes of Star Wars Andor. Episode 10, Make It Stop, Episode 11, Who Else Knows, and Episode 12, Jedha Kyber Urso. So these are the final 3 episodes, and they're designed to set up the events of Rogue One. I have timestamps below for each individual episode, and then we're going to have a conclusion at the very end. So stay tuned. Welcome to the Jedi Ranger. I'm JohnBerry555, and this is my review of Star Wars Andor Season 2, Episode 14, Make It Stop. So this is primarily a Lucen and Kaylee episode. Kaylee, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, is Lucen's assistant, and we get to learn how they meet and their backstories through flashbacks in this episode that are interspaced with the main action of the episode, because the episode basically opens up with Lonnie informing Lucen of basically the Death Star, though he doesn't quite know that yet, but knows that the Empire's energy project is actually a front for a secret weapon that Krennic is making, and we know that to be the Death Star. And Lucen kills Lonnie to, keep loose ends from falling apart. He could have taken Lonnie to a safe house and then to Yavin, and I'm sure Lonnie would have been a great asset for the rebellion, but no, Lucen couldn't do that. He needs to get out of his secret mindset. That's not quite the rebellion anymore. Secrecy, yes, but not as secret as it used to be. But anyhow, then Lucen is confronted in his shop by Dedra. Him and Kaylee had already basically planned to shut the operation down, destroy the evidence, because thanks to Lonnie, they knew Dedra was onto them and planning a raid. And Lucen has this great line where he says that there's basically only 2 suspect items in the shop. He's implying that's about some of the artifacts he has on display in his gallery, and he picks up a knife as a demonstration. But he's really talking about himself and Dedra. That is just great storytelling there from the team. And to prevent himself from being tortured and revealed information, he stabs himself with that knife. Now, Dedra does try to save him because she wants to interrogate him and all that. But that doesn't go quite well because Kaylee decides to infiltrate the hospital and take Lucen off of life support to ensure that he dies, which is something I'm sure they discussed. But through the flashbacks, we do reveal that, while yes, they have a very strong professional relationship, there is also a little bit of a father-daughter relationship going there. And you can see that because Kaylee teared up when she took Lucen off of life support. So many great scenes there, so much more to discuss, such as Dedra basically getting in trouble for the ISB for basically being too impatient conducting the raid a little sooner. But good thing she did in a way, because I'm sure Lucen had a lot more plans to destroy things in his shop than he got around to because of her going in early. But the Empire, I have a feeling, is going to punish her for not following their timetable because she's no longer useful to them. But those are just my thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. Welcome to the Jedi Ranger. I'm JohnBerry555, and this is my review of Star Wars Andor Season 2, Episode 11, Who Else Knows? So things are picking up. Kaylee sends a message to Cassian, basically saying, hey, got important information, come quick, and using an older code that's also an emergency code as well. Now, Cassian brings K2SO, who we can see he has some sass, just like we know him. And he also brings Meshi as well. They go to Coruscant to extract Lucen and Kaylee, or at least hear what they have to say, not knowing that Lucen is dead. Meanwhile, the Empire is trying to find Kaylee because, well, she likely knows what Lucen knows and they want to interrogate her. So everything's closing in, and I have to say, it is just a great episode with the suspense taking, especially at the very end, the Imperial's tracking beacon as they're trying to trace in on the source of Kaylee's communication, because Lucen didn't get a chance to destroy everything, they were able to intercept the transmission and they have a trace. And the tracing equipment has this beep and it's getting louder and louder near the end as the ISB is closing in on Kaylee and Cassian and Meshi because they're there now. Meanwhile, K2SO, he's guarding their ship, but he knows his comms have been cut and he goes to take out the Empire. And I just love how when the ISB TAC team people ask him, are you one of ours? He says no, knocks him off the bridge. And granted, things are not going well for anyone right now. It's tense, it's exciting, and also Yavin, they're mad at Cassian for going on his own once again, and they confine Wilhelm to his quarters because he helped them with that. But it's a good thing that Cassian is going on his own, basically, because the rebels need this information badly. And there's also some tension about, Kaylee does not expect Yavin to basically listen to her and wants Cassian to relay the information, but it might be better if both of them go, and plus, she could probably be a pretty good use in the rebellion. Knows a fair bit about communication. Could be quite beneficial. There's more to go on. Dedra, despite basically being in trouble and looking like her career is in the gutters, she does give one of her fellow ISB officers some advice that actually does help them narrow it down. So that shows that even once she's in a situation where she should be looking out for herself truly first and foremost, she is still helping the Empire. But that's what I got to say. I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. Welcome to the Jedi Ranger. I'm JohnBerry555, and this is my review of the 12th and final episode of Star Wars Andor Season 2, Jedha Kyber Urso. So this episode is leading us directly into Rogue One, and they do a phenomenal job at it. But more than that, it's also about trusting Lucen's intel, trusting that what he got out of the ISB is not false, and that his sacrifice essentially wasn't in vain. And due to other things going on, the rebels decide, you know what? We probably should trust the intel. There's enough going on, other weird stuff, that if it is a trap, it's a darn good trap, and we should though take it seriously anyhow, take this intel seriously, because they know Saw's on Jedha, and that's one of the things from Lucen's intel. There's a destroyer above Jedha. There's a contact in Saw's group that will only speak to Cassian. That's how Cassian gets released from being grounded, and then he's sent to the Regan Kafrene to get that intel. And we know where that leads to there. But there's more going on as well. We see the beginning of the squabbling of the rebel high command and leadership and all that we see again in Rogue One. And that includes a few of the plays we saw in Rogue One as well, showing that they're not quite united yet, and this intel, because there's going to be another meeting, and we know that meeting that they mentioned is actually the meeting in Rogue One. Such good connections there. But we also get to see where all our characters ended up. We know Cassian, he's getting ready to head on to the Regan Kafrene and the events of Rogue One. Meshi and plus several of the others that we later see in Rogue One on scale with helping Cassian extract the intel on the Death Star, the actual intel that they need to destroy it. We see him training with them in the jungle, the forests of Yavin. We get to see Will Major Pargast. We get to see him. He's listening to Namek's manifesto, and I think it might be speaking to him. Everything that's going on, he's either overwhelmed with it and he takes his own life, or he decides to wake up and that's his act of defiance, a small little bit. But I don't think it was a coincidence that he was listening to Namek's manifesto when he made that decision. Then we also get on top of all of that too, we see what happens with Dedra. Well, she's in a prison just like on Narkina 5. She lost everything and she breaks down sobbing because of it. She lost everything. But we also get to see what happens with Bix. There's a scene where Vel employs Cassian to reconnect with Bix, and he says to do it after, but we know he won't. But we see what's going on with Bix. She's living on the planet that we saw at the very beginning in Season 1 where Bix, Brasso, Willem, and Cassian and B2 were living. B2 is still there playing with the other droids, but Bix, she's taking care of an infant. I'm pretty sure that's Bix and Cassian's child that will never get to see their father. And that's just tragic. But I think Vel knows that and wanted Cassian to try to reconnect, try to learn that he has a child. And we know tragedy that won't connect. It's tear-jerking, really. There's so much there. I'm sure I missed some stuff, but the pieces are in place for Rogue One. You can watch Star Wars Andor, Star Wars Rogue One and Star Wars Story, I should say, and A New Hope all together, and you have one cohesive narrative. There might be a bit of a jump to like, okay, why are we following this Luke Skywalker character? How does he fit into all this? And that's the only rapid jump going on there, but it is a cohesive narrative and it all flows into each other and does support each other. Except for the real jump, but it does essentially work. Though, I gotta say, I was looking in the background, I was hoping I could see a reference to Star Wars Rebels somehow. I was hoping for it. I may just not have been observant enough. But the point I'm making here is that this episode did a phenomenal job at closing the season up and laying the groundwork for the next story. It did what a prequel needs to do. It showed us what we needed to know for the next story, while also leading into it in a what I believe to be a satisfying way. So that's where I'm going to end my review of Star Wars Andor Season 2, Episode 12, and the season as a whole, because there's not much more to say, but I will have some other thoughts, so stay tuned for that in my next video. And let me know in the comment section down below, what are your thoughts on this episode and the previous 2 episodes as well. Thank you for watching my video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to give this video a like and share. Also, consider subscribing to my channel to stay up to date on all my latest content. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. May the Force be with you always.